Hey there, sports fans. How we doing? You alright? I'm good. Thank you. Welcome to the 10 Yards Back YouTube channel, Spotify, probably not the X feed, but they do exist, guys. YouTube, Spotify, X, they're all there. Welcome to the channel where I talk shit by myself in a garage about rugby league, and this is my review of round 13 of the 2025 Betfred Super League. We're almost halfway there. I mean, I guess right now, at the time of recording this, you could argue that we are halfway there, living on a prayer, because we're halfway between 13 and 14, 27 round league, plus playoffs. Yeah, so we did it, guys. We're halfway there. Season's kind of simmering down a little bit, starting to look a little bit predictable. Bottom, I think, is sorted. Top, still up for grabs. Wigan, Hull KR, they're right there, aren't they? Neck and neck. Wigan's points difference is better than Hull KR's, but they got more league points. So, what are we going to do? All right, round 13. This is how the games stacked up, and this is my predicted scores. So, I had Lee beating Huddersfield by 7 points. Hull KR beating Saints by, 8 points. Wigan basically murdering Salford 84-0. Castleford Warrington on top there slightly. Wakefield beating Leeds was my prediction, and Hull FC to beat Catalans convincingly but not offensively. And this is how the scores actually turned out. Huddersfield done a little bit better than I thought. Got the Wakefield one wrong. Leeds managed to pull that one out. And Hull FC they're really doing a number. So I was actually wrong on one of them. I had Wakefield beating Leeds again this season. Turns out Leeds are in it. They're trying to do it, aren't they? They're trying to do a Leeds. They're trying to just creep up through the table, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe at the end of the season, in the playoffs, who knows, they got a magic trick up their sleeves. So let's go through it game by game. Let's talk about what I got right, what I got wrong, and what happened generally in those games. So the first one, Huddersfield versus Lee on Thursday night. It was a weird one for Huddersfield because... it was a weird one for Huddersfield, but now I think about it. So there was a massive crash on the M62. Right, and that held up. I mean, that Tui Lolohea was actually stuck in traffic right by the exit that he was supposed to get off at. Poor old Jack Billington, I'm not even sure if this is legal, to be honest, drove his car up to an adjacent A road, got out, him and Tui swapped. That's how bad the traffic was. It was just standstill. Tui got in his car and showed up basically just before kickoff. Played the full 80. Great, what a guy. But Lee also come from that direction, and so do loads of other players. So are we learning something about Tui Lolohea there, that he just likes to show up late to things? Because surely he should have been there already. If the whole Lee squad arrived on time, maybe Tui, you need to try a little bit harder. Anyway, the game itself was actually a good one, wasn't it? I was surprised by this one. I had the score 14-21. I always thought it was going to be close. But what actually happened here was, so the commentators said at halftime, Lee were just too strong in that first half for Huddersfield. I would actually phrase that the wrong way. I'd say Huddersfield just weren't strong enough. They didn't max out their potential. There were a couple of tries there for Lee in the first half that were absolutely avoidable, and they just let in. I can't think of any examples right now, but most of the tries, to be honest, in that first half, except for Lachlan Lamb's try out on the wing, that was classy. The rest of them were kind of just walkovers, where you got that. You can tell when someone's done when a defender's done something wrong, because they don't like they're not disasperated by it. They're not like, oh yeah, fuck. They're just like, oh, they get that shoulder slump on when they wave their arms or whatever. There were a lot of those moments in that first half. And then in the second half, they turned it around. George Flanagan Jr. Scored an absolute I mean, a try he's going to remember for the rest of his life, I think, in that first half, and that just brought Huddersfield back into the game with, I think, 4 points, and it wasn't converted, if I remember correctly. But Huddersfield really got back into that game in the second half, and I feel sorry for them that they just, well, I feel sorry for them, but they just shouldn't have let in that many tries in the first half. If they'd have just been a little bit better, this all could have been sorted and put away. All right, next up, we had Hull KR versus Saints. Second time this season they've played each other. First half, I said that Hull KR basically kicked Saints out of their game plan. They sort of just pinned them in a corner all match. And Saints really readdressed how they're approaching the league after that. I thought this was going to be 24-16 based on current performance and the fact that Hull KR have got the Challenge Cup coming up at the weekend. I was wrong about this game across the board. I thought this was going to be one of the best games of the weekend. Two top-class sides coming together. It was not that. The final score was 34-4 to Hull KR. Didn't even get a conversion, Saints. And, like, there's not much difference to say about Hull KR. They were exactly as they have been. Everyone in the right place at the right time. And that's not a luck thing. Everyone where they need to be, where they're planned to be, where they're supposed to be, everyone doing their jobs properly. The game just never really got going. The first half lasted 55 minutes. So there was so much stoppage in that first half. And it wasn't even like video ref stoppage necessarily. There was just a lot of downtime. And Hull KR used that to their advantage. They used that stoppage in play to say, right, okay, how are we going to set up after this one? A great example is there was a stoppage of about 3 or 4 minutes for blood. So Walmsley and Knowles, I think it was, clashed heads, Saints players, clashed heads, and there was a bit of blood on the pitch. So they had to stop and address it. All the Saints players are kind of hanging around waiting for this, getting a nice bit of fresh air in here. The Hull KR team set up an attacking play from that and scored a try. I think if not in the next tackle, it was the one after that. So they'd used this, what could have been a momentum loss, just used it and said, right, okay, we got a stoppage. What do we do with stoppages? We reframe and we go again. So Hull KR massively used that extra time to advantage. Not that they were playing a slow game, but if you've got a forced stoppage, why not use it to regroup and recoup? There were some controversial decisions, but to be honest, Saints just can't get going. Like, despite the stoppages, despite the actual time on the clock, Saints just can't seem to get going. There were two. I mean, an example of this, one is the blood thing I just said. George Delaney knocked on 2 sets in a row in Saints' own half. I think only one of them led to a try, but come on, man, you got to be better. These errors from Saints are just over and over and over again. They got really good players. They got a lot of players with a lot of experience and a lot of players with a lot of young players. But it doesn't matter if you can't keep hold of the ball, and Saints just can't keep hold of the ball at the minute. Discipline's okay, but Saints, they're really letting themselves down. They got a couple of good games coming up for them. Salford twice for some reason in the next month. Leeds twice, which will be a challenge, and Hull FC. So those Leeds and the Hull FC will be a challenge, not an insurmountable challenge, but good challenges. The Salford games I think is interesting because people are using Salford this year, with all due respect, to hammer the points difference just to score as many tries as possible. I think Saints need to not do that. I think Saints need to focus instead of wild play, things like that. Use those 2 Salford games that you're probably going to win anyway. Complete sets. Just make those Salford games as boring as you want. Just complete your set. Score a couple of tries, of course. That's what Saints need to do. They've got a week off the Challenge Cup, then Salford, then Leeds, and Salford. So, look, I'm just saying this because we all need Saints to be good. Hull KR are good. But we also need Saints, Warrington, Wigan, Leeds to be good. Otherwise, there's no league. All right? You heard it here first. Next up, Wigan versus Salford. Now, I had this at 84-0. That's just based off the current performance and the average points scored. You're welcome. I had Wigan absolutely battering them. But what Wigan did here is they did what I said Saints need to do and almost used it as a really good practice opposition. What I noticed about Wigan in this game is that you could draw those plays on paper before the match and overlay them onto the footage, and every player is millimetre perfect where they need to be. Everyone's running at exactly the right speed, exactly the right distance away from their running partners. The Wigan performance at the weekend was probably the most professional performance I've ever seen. Now, you're allowed that because the opposition, Salford, with all due respect, I love them. I wish this wasn't happening to them. They are the team that you can beat this year, so there's no pressure necessarily. There's not a huge amount of opposition, so run those drills, and that's what they were doing. I mean, even Jay Field, who you can think is, all right, once he's got the ball, he's a wild man, you can't stop him. Even he was very, very measured in his approach to his run. He was conserving energy. He wasn't going overboard. He knew exactly how much he needed to give, and so did everybody else. So Wigan, pretty professional there. Salford, again, they grabbed a try at the end there. Shorrock's best run of his life. Shorrock's is having probably the worst year of his life, professional career for sure. But God, he's playing some good rugby, isn't he? At the minute, he's playing some highlight reel stuff because he's a standout guy in that Salford team. He's really holding it together. But Briley as well is doing a good job, but not as much as my heart is with Shorrocks this year, to be honest. Cracks appearing for Salford. I mean, they've been there, haven't they? So, what we're going to say about that? All right, game 3 of the weekend. Warrington versus Castleford. I had this at 22-14. I thought it was going to be pretty close. It ended up 34-24. And the score here is misleading because Warrington were all over this. This was Warrington's game by far. I think the score was something like 28-6, and that's when they started to rotate players to conserve them, basically, for the Challenge Cup next week. So at 28-6, that's when players start to come off. Castleford started to get a couple more points, but Ratchford grabbed a last-minute try. Great. I think this is a good game for Warrington because, like I said last week, Castleford can do this if they put some good stuff together. They weathered a storm. They came up with a game plan with players missing. And they're going to get Williams back next week, I think, for the Challenge Cup. But this is good for them. We had Sneed and Curry particularly combining really well throughout this game. So it's good on Warrington. They were all over this. Castleford, yeah, you got some tries as well. You just didn't win. Nothing really much to say about that. Now this one, I was 100% right about this one. This was the best game of the weekend by far. Leeds versus Wakefield. Now I had the score, like I said at the start there, I had the score 18-16 for Leeds. Wakefield, sorry. And it was a great game. Wakefield lost, but they were never, ever out of that game. They did let themselves down in the first half, let a couple in, a couple of easy ones in, perhaps that they wouldn't have normally let in. But the occasion was massive, wasn't it? It was Rob Burrows' anniversary at the weekend. So pre-game, they had flags, they had opera, they had fans, orange and blue flames for the MND Society. It was a big occasion. Headingley was padding 17,000 people at that game. So it was a big occasion. Wakey did let themselves down a little bit, but Leeds were just incredible. Again, Jake Connor, Lackey Miller even connecting really, really well. Miller came off at some point, and this is, I think, something that still gives me hope about this Wakefield side. I mean, look, they lost the game, all right? They're still a great team. But the thing that gives me hope in particular for Wakefield, and the reason why they might even finish above the likes of Saints and maybe Hull FC at the end of when the season's played out, is that when Miller came off, Connor went to full back. I can't remember who went in the halves to replace Connor, but Wakefield noticed that was different and changed their game plan. So previously, when you had Connor and Miller on, the attack and the defence was basically split down the middle of the field, and it was mirrored on both sides. As soon as Connor went to full back, it became a bit asymmetric. You know, everything was really only coming from the side that Connor was on, not when you had Connor and Miller pairing, if they are a pairing. So Wakefield exploited that very well. They kept splitting that defence and splitting the attack even quite effectively, and that's why they got all those points back. They were in it right into the end. I thought they were going to do it. I thought it was going to be really, really exciting, but they didn't. Connor was man of the match. Jake Connor, man of the match. Really well deserved. I thought that there was a little point there where Wakefield was sneaking back into it when I thought they were at their most dangerous. In their own 20, a couple of Connor's old tricks started to come out. He started to be a little bit of a little shit around the play of the ball with the referee. Ended up man of the match. Perfect, great, deserves it. Fantastic. 22-18, Leeds take the win. And this one, Catalans versus Hull in Perpignan. And this is a surprise to me because this is the second week in a row that Catalans have played at home. What's wrong with me today? It's the third week in a row that Catalans have failed to score any points. What's going on? I don't know, but something I did notice. But I mean, Hull FC are great. Again, that real structured defence, real structured attack. Even, you know, you could almost draw a ruler down the whole team at any point in the game, and they're all in position. Zach Hardacre actually is doing a really good job in the second row, which I'm quite surprised about. You know, Hull obviously got injuries, they got players coming back. They shifted Hardacre from centre to second row, and he's doing a real number there, and he's really, really well. I think because he's got that ball playing background from being the full back, then the centre. Now he's in the second row. He's really, really working well as almost like a pivot in the forwards, I guess. But I digress anyway. So there were 2 points in the Catalans game this weekend that I noticed. That is kind of what's wrong with Catalans right now is everyone's got their head down. Everyone expects to lose. And I think that Catalans is a place, if you've ever been to Perpignan, it's a place where they can lose a couple and the fans are still going to go because the fans are there for the day out. You know, they got, they get about 7,000 fans, I think, to a nice stadium. They got good food there. They got nice beers. It's a good atmosphere. Everyone's nice and friendly. The weather's nice, obviously, most of the time. So it's a good day out. So everyone's still going to go and watch them, even if they're losing. But there's 60 minutes in, GAB knocks on and just leaves it. He's got those shoulders, like I said earlier, those huffing shoulders, and just leaves it. And I think, I can't remember who it was now on the Hull side, but just picked it up and ran a full-length try. Great, that's one on the board. Thank you, JB. And then 62 minutes, Kiri knocks on. Again, those shoulders. Now, he doesn't just leave it, but he just does a little pathetic little kick, almost like kicks it away, like, well, the play's finished now. And they're just like, no, it isn't. It's still live. And then I think it might even have been Hardacre, picks the ball up. And again, another full-length try. You've gone from attacking in your opponent's 20 to conceding tries twice in the same game, half an hour apart. But guys, come on, if you drop a ball, dive on it. I was a professional ball dropper in my rugby league career, for what it was worth. Whenever I dropped it, I also dove on it so that no one could pick it up. It's just what you do. It's a reaction. It's an instinct. Why Catalans aren't doing that, and they're just almost happy to be there. They're not really competing at the minute. I don't know why. And it was dangerous that they made those decisions against the Hull FC side that's fighting for the top six, and is game and is good and can score 34 points to your 0. All right, I think that's the games. Yes, if we look at the table, there's a couple of shifters this week. So Saints slipping down into 6th place, Wakefield down to 7th, Hull FC up to 5th. Again, that one point buffer there. Warrington up to 8th after their victory over Cass. So it's just that middle of the table, isn't it? I think the bottom is pretty comfortable. Huddersfield might leapfrog Castleford. I don't know. I think Castleford only got one game on them. Who knows, that might happen. The top 2 for sure is cemented, I think, at this point. Whatever way around they end, I don't think anyone's really knocking them off. Lee can drop. Leeds, I'm going to say Leeds are 3rd now. That's where Leeds will finish. They're about the 3rd best team at the minute, so I think that's fine. So a couple of changes there. Saints really got to be careful, because if Saints drop out of the top 6, their fans are not going to be happy. I think if Saints, there's probably been a meeting between Paul Wellings and Eamon McManus, or whoever it is, Derek Beaumont, whoever it is, to say, listen, you keep us in the 6, you're here till the end of the year. As soon as we drop, we've got to let you go, man, because the fans are vying for it. I don't know if it's fair or not, but I'm not a professional athlete, so who knows. Let's have a look at our points scorers. We've got Adam Kieran breaking 100 this week. Adam Kieran at the top there. Max Jowett, number 2. Good on you, Max. I mean, he scored a brace, as they say, in that game against Leeds. So he had a real good game at the weekend. His kicking's fantastic. He's really racked up a couple of points there. GAB still in joint 10th. Even though he hasn't scored any points for 3 weeks, and he's only played 4 games or something, 5 games before that. It's a real weird one, man. I don't know what to do with Catalans right now, but the fact that GAB is still in the top points scorers, kind of just makes me question. I don't know. But climbers there, Jake Connor climbing, obviously Mikey Lewis climbing, scoring tries and kicking goals. You can't deny him, can you? So let's have a look at these try scorers. Again, Field, Mikey Lewis up there, top try scorers, top assist makers as well. So they're always there or thereabouts in the mix. Lewis Martin, Riley Lunn, my boys. Really glad to see them up there in the try scorers. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, people are scoring tries, aren't they? Look, so many people with 9 tries, which I think is a good indication. It's a good thing for the league when you've got a breadth of people scoring tries, and not just 1 or 2 of the same individuals doing the same thing. So that's good. All right, it's the Challenge Cup final this week. Finals. Hull KR take on Warrington. And St Helens ladies take on Wigan ladies on Saturday. I made a preview of that. I'm not sure. Challenge Cup's a hard one. I like having the numbers, the facts in front of me, and with the Challenge Cup, there's always the huge spanner of the occasion. So who knows who's going to shit the bed? Probably Warrington, to be honest. I think Hull KR have probably got that one. All right, guys. So I'll see you again at some point. Until then, if you want to listen but don't like me, face, head over to Spotify, 10 Yards Back on X. Get over there, and I'll see you again.